So what's the Grape Explorer talking about today? So if you followed our videos, and we really try to identify grapes, we try to identify regions, but we're going to talk about one country today that we have never talked about and got a little bit of a history behind it, so I wanted to share. It is called Switzerland, and we are actually going to try a white wine today, but we've got some surprises too, because we're going to show you some things about wine that you might not be aware of. If you are aware of it, you should stick to it. We're going to have a wine today, but we're going to show you how to enjoy the wine with a very, very special Swiss dish that will kind of enhance the wine. But if you really want to know about this wine today, we're going to taste a wine called Fendant. And Fendant is a grape varietal, but basically the name of the grape is called Chasselas. And that is the predominant grape in Switzerland. It's conducive to Switzerland, but we're going to point out a little bit on the map so we can see. We brought out a map of France and the proximity to Switzerland. So if you look right over here, you see the Rhone River running right here, the Rhone, and that's how close we are to the proximity of France. And Switzerland right here, and this Valais is right here. And this is obviously the Swiss side of the Alps. So that's the reason why a lot of these grapes are conducive to growing in mountain ranges. We've got also wines from Savoie that we talked about and discussed earlier. And then of course you got Italy is right here. So look at the proximity of the Italian Alps. You've got Switzerland here. But this is wine that we really wanted to talk about because again, I like to bring up a little bit of the past, the present, and the future in anything that I talk about. And one time when I was in New York and I had a meeting with a very prominent importer who, was based in New York. And what he decided to do, and I wanted to share this with you, he actually showed me a lot of wines and tasted blind. And when I say that, this might be a fun exercise. It's not for everybody to do because, you really have to have what we call total recall, which means that when you actually taste a wine and somebody pours it to you, doesn't tell you what country it's from, doesn't tell you the grape, which it could be a fun exercise. So if you want to get together with your friends one time and kind of have a guess the wine, it's kind of an interesting thing to do. But this particular gentleman poured me a glass of wine to start with. We had like 20 different wines that day because it was quite an exercise on his behalf. Every time he poured the wine, he didn't tell me where it was from. I had to identify the wine. So the first wine that he gave me, I put my nose into it and I said, oh, this is a very interesting wine. This tastes like a very good Macon from France. And, he went to tell me, no, this is not Macon, but do not feel bad. Robert Parker from the Wine Advocate said the same exact thing where you were sitting. I didn't know if that was a compliment or not, but at least I was curious as to what the wine was, and he said, it's a Fendant from Switzerland. And I thought, oh my goodness gracious, I've never had a Fendant before. And I thought, it's really wonderful, but at the same time, yes, it does taste like a white Burgundy. But but the grape is Chasselas, not Chardonnay. That's the reason why we wanted to identify exactly what Fendant is all about. But it's the closest thing, I think, to a Chardonnay, which is quite unique. So when you smell it, you smell different nuances of Macon. I can see exactly why I tried to guess this wine and I identified Macon, because when you smell it, you do get that kind of hazelnut kind of quality to the nose. You get that beautiful expression of lemon citrus or lemon lime, which you kind of get out of Chardonnay as well. But the most important thing, I think, because Switzerland, you don't see too much Swiss wine, and that's the reason why I wanted to point it out today. The reason why is most Swiss wines do not get exported. Most of them are consumed in Switzerland for obvious reasons. The production level is not high on a lot of these wines. They're very, very expensive to make these wines, so you do not see too many of these wines come into the United States. I actually had a chance to grab one of these, the Fendant. I wanted to kind of zoom in a little bit on the label because this is a Fendant from a producer called La Mosière, and this is how you read a Swiss label, because it's Fendant, which is actually the Chasselas is the grape, but Fendant is the grape if you want to say identity. And then La Mousière is the name. But then you look over here, Les Coteaux, which is region or area. And then you can see right here, this very special name right here, which is called Valais. And it's AOC like in France. But this is the identification of this wine. This is the region where you really want to spend that time because this is considered to be one of the top regions. And as we pointed out on the map, we can actually see the proximity of this wine to, the Swiss Alps, and you can see the mountain range there. But Chasselas is considered by some to be specifically a Swiss grape, or at least have come from Lake Geneva region. But one thing's for certain, nowhere else produces Chasselas wines in such subtlety and complexity. So you do not see this much Chasselas planted. Yeah, we're going to point it out again right here in the mountain range right here in Switzerland. But we also did something that we wanted to share with everybody today, an experience that I think is fun because we want to make wine fun. And sometimes, yes, it can be very complex. A lot of the grapes, we don't know that, we can't pronounce the names. Switzerland, not an easy wine to find. You can't go into every liquor store, especially in New York. If you want to go into Metro New York City, you might see a little bit of the wines, which I actually bought here, this wine. So, but at the same time, what we broke out today was the most famous thing to do with these wines is a fondue. And you can see this is Emmenthal cheese from Switzerland to make what we call a Swiss fondue. We actually, you can see, you can actually buy this kit, which is kind of cool. But the perfect thing to do is when you're having this wine is to have the fondue, and you can see that we have some beautiful bread with our fondue. So you taste the fondue like this. I love the cheese. It's so beautiful. And actually to pair this grape or this fendant with this is fun, and we want to make wine fun. Oh, that's lovely. But you get all that mineral tone from the mountain. You get that beautiful grape, which is very expressive. You get flowers out of the notes of this. It's very alpine, obviously. You get a lot of that pine kind of sense, which is really, from the mountain region. You get that hazelnutty kind of fruit, which is very, 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 very unique. And and it has such expression. These wines, again, this is not for everybody, but what I wanted to share with you, and I think the most important thing is make wine fun. And when I say that, invite your friends. If you have a group of people over the house, you want to entertain, but you want to make it a fun night, and you want to kind of express it a little bit. Try a Swiss wine. You can try to find it. You can actually go online. There's a number of retail stores. You just Google Swiss wine, Fendant. You basically can buy, 1-2 bottles. This is a beautiful kit to have a fondue, and it's a great experience for friends. And if you really want to surprise everybody, try to get the Swiss Emmenthal cheese too, because that goes perfect with our fondue. And to make this is very special, you can see. That is such fun to do. The cheese is just spectacular, by the way. Wine and cheese. That's why I always say to people, when you taste wines, wine and food. Wine and food. The easiest thing to do is cheese with this wine. This is very, very special, and I wanted to share this with everybody. Again, this is a Grape Explorer. We're always trying to find different ways to educate people and have fun ways doing it. Cheers.